So find a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like to you. Tall spine. So what we're gonna do right now is Christian yoga. The movements that a lot of people know and say, oh, that is yoga. So it's stretching, it's strengthening our body. And I'll guide you through a slow flow, it's called. So we'll get warm, but we'll also settle down and finish up with a meditation. You can leave your hands on your knees. Maybe do a little bit of shoulder rolling, up and down. Just to get you on the mat, get you settled in. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And inhale, if you can, through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Let go of anything that might be popping up in your head that's not relevant for right now. As you inhale, you might in yourself say, Christ, I surrender. As you exhale, whatever you need to surrender or let go of. And then find your deep breathing. As you inhale, feel the expansion of your belly and your chest. And as you exhale, notice how it all settles back. I'll begin our time together with a prayer. Christ, I welcome you into our body, souls, and minds. I pray that every tension, either in muscles or in our bodies or tension in our souls, that we will let that go. And your Spirit will, through your grace, release us. Give us the freedom that we know you can give us as we're your children. And still with your eyes closed, you can move your legs if you feel uncomfortable or need to move them a little bit, but with your eyes closed and still breaths in deeply, listen to a Bible verse. It's from 2 Corinthians in the Message version. Paul writes, I was given the gift of a handicap to keep me in constant touch with my limitations. Satan's angel did his best to get me down. What in fact did was push me to my knees. No danger then of walking around high and mighty. At first, I didn't think of it as a gift, and I begged God to remove it. 3 times I did that, and then He told me, My grace is enough. It's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness. Once I heard that, I was glad to let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in my weakness. Now take your right hand on your right side of your mat by your hip, and take your left arm above your head and do a side bend to your right side, lifting up your rib cage towards heaven. And then with your chest leaning towards your right knee, crawl with your hands in front of you to the other side. When you're over there, lift right hand up. So kind of opening up your chest. Maybe you look up. And then do this a few more times, as slowly or as fast as you like. Walking your hands to the side and opening up your chest, soft movements. Of course, being aware that you're not going to do anything that is going to hurt you or feels bad. Do it one more time so you have done your side stretch, an even amount on each side. Coming back into simple seated pose. Take your shoulders around, maybe turning your ankles or your wrist a little bit. And then find downward facing dog. Spread your fingers out, hands to the front end of your mat, maybe so that the screen is in front of you. So turn your screen around if you need to, so you don't do anything annoying with your neck. So down dog, that triangle pose, position of your body, hands out, hips lifted, heels sink towards the mat, and maybe you walk, bending one knee at a time, moving your hip. So again, no right and wrong in the way that you move here. Breathe. And should there be any poses or anything that you want to avoid, welcome to do that. And if you want to go just more fully into any kind of pose, also welcome to do that. So as you inhale next time, push your shoulders towards your plank. So wrist and shoulders are above each other. Choice of coming to your knees if you like. And then move back to down dog. Lift your hip up and move your hip back. Do this a few more times. As you inhale, maybe you kind of wave yourself to your plank. Use your core as you move to down dog yet again. And do this a few more times, warming up our bodies. I also think it's important to know that when you do Christian yoga, Christ-centered yoga, it's not a matter of having a prayer or a Bible verse in every single movement. It's a matter of being on your mat with everything you are. Like your mat is God's love and God's grace, that you're just moving on and in. So you don't have to think and rationalize and understand everything.
Find your down dog yet again. And then walk your feet to the front end of your mat slowly. Hip width apart with your feet, that's almost 2 fist distance, and let yourself hang forward. Relax your neck and sway from side to side. And side out whenever you need to. Take a small bend in your knees and then roll your spine up to mountain pose. It's standing pose. Take your hands out to the side and up towards the ceiling. And maybe you come up to the top of your toe, just lifting up. See if you can keep some sort of balance. And then come down on the whole sole of your foot. Take then your hands out to the side, opening up, small back bend, so you lean back, keep it core tight. Try to make your shoulders pushing towards each other. Back to straight spine, hands up towards the sky. Small bend in your knees as you move yourself into a forward fold. Take your hands down towards your mat and move them behind you. So kind of touch the mat and then move your hands behind your hips and up towards the sky behind you. Yeah, beautiful. And then again, down towards the mat, finding a chair pose. So keep your knees bended however low you want to go. Core here tight so you don't arch your back, so still knees bended. Beautiful. Standing pose again, and then we repeat this. So go back, open up your chest, hands out to the side, small back bend. Straight spine again, hands towards the sky. And then bending your knees, leaning forward, hands down to your mat and behind you. Like you're a big wave. Wave your hands towards the mat again, chair pose. Hands or arms somewhat aligned with your ears. And let's do this a few more times. Mountain pose. And as you exhale, open up your chest and back bend. Inhale, straight spine, hands towards the sky. Exhale, lean forward, sway your hands towards the mat and behind you. Inhale, hands towards the mat, and then chair pose as you exhale. Inhale, this is a flow warming up pose. Rise up and exhale, move back into your back bend. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, lean forwards, hands down and behind you, and then move with your own pace. Chair pose. A few more times. Mountain. Back bending. Mountain. Forward fold. Finding your chair pose. A few more times. And of course, take your break if you need it. I won't guide you anymore, just move. Take this small sequence through one more time, maybe closing your eyes and letting your body speak. Maybe sigh things out. Next time you're in mountain pose, take your hands down by your side, palms facing forward, and just stay there, breathing.
As I read those verses before from 2 Corinthians, is there anything in your life that you feel like is a handicap or bad habit or whatever that you have prayed God about removing? And maybe you need to remind yourself that God is listening. He hears the cries of our heart and our prayers. Open up your eyes again. Gather your feet and your knees completely. So it's really important that you actually squeeze your knees a little bit together. And toes and heels reach each other because we're going into a chair pose with a twist. So come down to your chair. It can be like this if you don't feel like sweating a whole lot today. Or it can go deeper down if you really love that burning sensation in your body. Try to see if you can keep a straight spine so you don't arch your back, having that ducktail, but taking your pelvic floor here underneath yourself. Find your right hand and take your right hand on the outer edge of left leg, it must be, and twist your shoulders up so that right shoulders move towards the sky, left shoulder down again. You don't have to go all the way down, but you're welcome to do so. And of course, remember to breathe. One more breath here. Release both hands down in front of your toes. Extend your legs, coming into a forward fold. Still, feet and knees together. And then again, bending your knees, chair pose only for a short while. Try to see if you can get your balance on your left foot or left leg, releasing right leg, maybe lifting your knee just for a second, and then move your knee or your leg, right leg behind you, going into airplane pose or warrior 3 if you like. Extending right leg behind you, flexing your foot, arms out to the side. And when you feel like you've got it, just look at the ground. So don't look at the screen. Two more breaths here, extending both legs. Feeling your muscles. Reach for the floor. Move your right foot behind you on the mat. Lower it down. Heel lifted. Bending front knee. So knee and ankle are above each other. Beautiful. Twisting. So right hand on the floor or on the block if you prefer that. Turning your belly towards your inner thigh and lifting up left arm towards the sky. If your shoulders happens to be moving up towards your ears, then push them back. Really trying to lower down your hip, feeling a stretch probably on your hip flexors on your right side, the leg that is stretched. Beautiful. Both hands down. Take the front foot back, downward facing dog or down dog. We've been here before. Take a breath or two.
And notice if you have been talking to yourself about, wow, I'm bad at this, I can't do this. Let go of that kind of talk. Just do whatever you can and be satisfied with that. Either stay in down dog or do a Vinyasa Flow, which means you come into your plank. On toes or your knees, lower down, elbows in by your ribs, so not out to the side. Come down on your chest or your belly on the floor, and then lift your chest up. Take your shoulder blades back. Toes on the ground, lifting up to downward facing dog. And let's do that just one more time. If you want to, inhale, plank. Exhale, lower down, choice of knee or toes. Inhale, lifting your chest. And exhale, down dog. Jump or walk to the front end of your mat yet again. Small movements to the front end of your mat. As you are there, again, toes and knees completely together. Bend your knees, find chair pose yet again. Of course, doing the poses on the other side. Twisting. This time, left hand, move to the outer edge of your right leg, like pulling your hand down. If you want to do prayer pose here, there's an option as well. Notice that your knees doesn't completely move away from each other. Hips are aligned even though you're moving your shoulders to the side. Come into your middle, hands on the ground, forward fold, still feet and toes together. Relax. Stretching your legs as much as you can, feeling it on the back side of your legs. Again, bending your knees, chair pose, just for 1 or 2 breaths until we find our balance, or what we have of our balance today. This time, left leg moves forward, maybe lifting up your knee. Gaze on the ground. If you know what you're going to do, airplane, slowly stretching out both legs, moving left leg behind you, arms out to the side. Hips closed, meaning that glutes, buttocks are aligned. One more breath. And then lower down your hands and your foot, your left foot, to the back end of your mat. Awesome. Again, bending front knee. It's called lunge pose, stretching that back leg completely and then twisting again. This time, right hand up so that your belly again moves towards the inside of your thigh. Not that your belly touches your thigh, it's just that direction. Amazing. Hands down, come into down dog. Move your foot back. Take a deep inhale and then side it out. Child's pose. Knees on your mat and get some distance in between your knees. Maybe your feet reach each other, maybe not. Forehead on the ground. Hands can be either to the front end of your mat or down by your hip, by your feet.
And relax like a child. And I'll just read 2 verses again. My grace is enough. It's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness. What does that mean to you? Massage your forehead as you're laying here, so move your head from side to side. Slowly. And if it feels good to come a little bit more on top of your head, welcome to do that. Maybe you lift up on your knees. And then take your hands again to the front end of your mat, spreading out your fingers, lifting up your hip, finding again down dog. If you're really tired of down dog, an option is just going on all fours instead. So that's always a place to go if you don't want to do your down dog. Or tabletop it's called. Try to see if you can stretch your leg just a tiny bit more than you did before. Heels reaching just a millimeter further down towards the mat. This time, walking your hands towards your feet. So walk your hands back, so you're at the back end of your mat. And stand up, mountain pose. Spread out your toes, really feeling that foundation through your mat. Maybe this is for you becoming Christ's strength, the foundation where you're standing. Or maybe it's a prayer that you will have that trust. Going into tree pose, on balancing on our right leg. This means lifting up your left foot, either putting your sole of your foot here or lifting it up higher so that your heel moves into the inside of your thigh. Pushing your heel really in there. If your foot keeps falling down, maybe it's your pants, you can always take a hold of your foot just like I do here. If you sort of keeping your balance, see if you can reach your hand out, maybe up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just try.
And then let go of your left foot, moving it one step ahead of you, not too far, closing your hips so their hip not go out to the side, but toes pointing that way, hips the same direction as your toes. Take your right hand to the front, and then trying to find a twist in our pyramid pose. So moving forward, now this might be the time for you to use your block if there's really a long way down there. But fingertips either on the inside of your foot, reaching up your left hand, left foot to the front, left hand up. Or taking this more advanced pose, taking your right hand on the ground to the outer edge of your foot. This really challenged my balance. Awesome. Releasing that twist. Hands down on the ground. Putting the whole of your weight on your left front foot. Again, a little bit of balance. The right leg, it must be lifted out, half moon pose. So you open up your hip. So you try to stack your hip on top of each other. Foot flexed like this. Try to keep your spine horizontal and maybe lift your right hand towards the sky so the whole of your right side is elevated. Keep your gaze on the ground. Or, more challenging, look up or whatever you prefer. Almost there. Maybe today we find our weakness on our yoga mat, and that is also great. Release both hands down on your mat, stepping it back to down dog. Either stay here, catch a breath, or find child's pose. Welcome to do that. If you love working out, maybe you do Vinyasa Flow with me. Take your inhale as you move to plank. Exhale as you lower down. Remember, no competition here. Do what your body needs, what your spirit needs. Up dog or Cobra, and then down dog. In downward facing dog, try to push your shoulders away from your ears. Small micro bend in your elbows. And then walk your hands back to your feet. This will be some of our last standing poses. So at the back end of your mat, mountain pose, yet again standing. Tree pose. This time, of course, on the other leg, so left leg, keep our balance, and right foot moves up or stay down on the mat. Again, no forcing anything. If you have your gaze on the ground a few meters in front of you, that's pretty helpful for me at least. And if your balance is up for it, raise your hands towards the sky like the leaves on the tree. And most important, breathe, whatever you do here. And let go. Your right leg, step it one step in front of you again, closing your hip. Left hand in front of you, moving into a pyramid pose with a twist. So left hand down on the floor or on your block and lift up right hand, shoulders stacked upon each other as much as you can. Straighten out your legs, looking up or down, whatever. Feeling maybe a little bit grateful that your body can do all these weird things that we're doing now. Both hands down on the ground. Walking your hands just a little bit further than your front right leg. Half moon this time on your left side. So lifting up your left leg, opening up your hip, flexing your foot so your toes go out to your left side. Gaze on the ground, not leaning forward. And again, trying to lift left hand as well. Two more breaths. Remember your option of coming out of this pose whenever you need to. And now is the time to go out of it. Come down on your belly on the mat, and maybe you side out saying, "Ooh, that was tough," maybe. Stack your hands above each other and then your forehead on the hands so you have space to breathe. I'm going to do a little bit of back bending now. So if you have any issues with your back, be very mindful, especially in the lower back. That's where our muscles and stuff like that are more stiff than on the other part of our back. So don't do anything that will hurt yourself. Toenails on the ground, hands somewhere in front of you. If you're really tight in your back, maybe you take your hands really far forward and out to the side. Gonna lift up our chest from the mat, baby cobra, or full cobra if you like. So your hips are still on the ground, shoulders away from your ears, looking ahead in front of you, trying to relax your buttocks, your behinds. And then vertebrae by vertebrae, coming down on your belly again, stacking your hands, leaving your forehead on your hands. And relax. Maybe your toes point in towards each other. The next pose will be bow pose, which is a little bit more intense than what we did. And if you know that you're not going to do any more than that, what we just did, repeat that cobra pose again. Bow pose will mean that you're bend your knees, flex your foot, take your hands behind you and reach for your ankles. Maybe you push your knees out to the side in order to actually reach your ankles down there. And then move your knees a little bit together again. Then kicking your ankles into your hands and lifting your shoulders, lifting your knees. Squeezing your shoulder blades quite much together. One more breath. And then release. Yet again, foreheads on your stacked hands. Getting back into our verse. I like the message version of saying, I quit focusing on the handicap and focused on the gift instead. So is there anything in your life you need to refocus? Think of in a different way. See it in Christ's perspectives and not your own, maybe. We're going into a seated pose. Doing a bit of stretching for our backs and hamstrings and stuff. So come into a seated pose in the middle of your mat, and maybe you will have your feet out to the side here, sitting aligned with the mat. I will turn so I'll be able to see what's going on. So take your feet or your legs out to the side as far as it's possible for you. Toes point towards the sky. And then you turn towards your right leg. And as you do this, you might start to feel, I do at least, on the inside of my thigh here. If it's uncomfortable, find a pillow or something to sit on. Maybe you fold your mat, whatever works for you. So you're looking at your right leg and then lean forward. It can be like this, or going further if your body allows it, taking a hold of your leg or your foot as you lean forward. Now this is a kind of a combination between stretching your back and stretching your hamstrings, the back of your right leg. So trying to relax every muscles you have in your whole body. Take one big inhale, and as you exhale, move just one bit further for 2 more breaths. Come back into your wide-legged seated pose. Maybe you need to shake some tension out of your legs. But of course, moving to the other side. So again, twisting your shoulders and lean towards your left side. Now I know that this foot might turn a little bit in. No worries. Try instead to keep your shoulders aligned on a horizontal line. So not lifting one higher than the other, but turning them, and then reach for whatever you can reach down here. Now, if you're really, really stiff here behind, you might not be going further than this, and it's really lovely to have a strap, but just so you know that. And I can't help but think during this time that we're in that maybe some of us, at least I can speak for myself, has really encountered some of our weaknesses. Or some of my learning potential, as you might say it. So when you're pushed out of your regular rhythm into something new, you might find out more about yourself. Last exhale, going a little bit deeper if it's possible. And then into our seated pose again. Maybe it feels really good to gather your feet and do a little bit of windshield, moving your legs from side to side. And I want to incorporate a little bit of shoulder stretching before we come down on our mat. And so wrapping up our windshield, instead find your comfortable seated pose on your mat. Again, whatever it looks like. If you want to sit on a chair, you're welcome to do that. But the important thing is we have a tall spine, so you have a little bit of tension in your belly and your core. Then take your right hand, leave it on your left side of your head here, moving your head to your right side. Left arm either on the floor here in your mat or behind you. So notice what feels best. Stretching actually your neck and the top of your shoulder. Don't pull your head. Take your head up again. I always feel that tension quite much. So release your head a little bit, and then of course we go to the opposite side. Trying not to take your chin towards your chest, but keep a little distance so we reach that top of our neck and shoulder. Right hand out or behind you. All right, putting your head back up again. Still seated, I'm just going to turn so you'll be able to see me. Fold your hands behind you or take a hold of your lower arms. And then moving your shoulder blades towards each other. I love putting my hands down on the mat or the ground behind me. Lifting up your chest so you stretch the front of your chest, front of your shoulder. Let go. Some of you might know the plow pose. If you know it, just go ahead and jump into it. If you don't know it, or if you have injuries in your back or your neck or anything, you shouldn't do the complete plow pose. You would want to do this instead, going into a forward fold with your feet in front of you. Maybe a small bend in your knees. So this is an option of a plow. If you want to do plow and don't know what it is, take a look before you do it, because when you're down there, you should not move your neck at all. So if you want to do your plow pose, it's pushing or lifting up your glutes up, taking your feet out maybe just like this, or if you can reach the floor above your head, hands down, or just take a hold of your leg here or your lower back. So this would be the plow pose. No moving of your neck when you're in plow pose. Close your eyes. trying to stack shoulder and hip somewhat above each other. Bending your knees if you're in plow pose. Take a hold of your glutes, your behinds, and then slowly come down your whole spine on your mat. Bending your knees, feet on the ground, and just lay here. Last pose before resting pose, butterflies, which means the sole of our feet reach each other. And you take your knees out to the side. Now, your butterfly can be with your feet like pretty long from your hip, or you can take your heels pretty up close to your hip. When you're there, try to relax your legs and then get a little bit of engagement in your core so you don't have a huge arch in your back, so your lower back is somewhat pushing towards your mat. Close your eyes. And let gravity do its work in your legs. And now it's time for resting pose. So gather your knees and then straighten out your legs on your mat. If you're somewhere where it's a little bit cold, maybe you want to take a blanket or just your shirt to put it on. Let your toes or your feet fall out to each side and your hands down on the floor, palms facing up. If you were really used to having shoulder tensions, be aware of like pulling your shoulders away from your ears and down towards the mat, and then relax. Let your whole body be as heavy as you can. As soft as possible. This also means that you might want to open your mouth a little bit. Jaws relax in that way. And eyes only gently closed. Returning for one last time to our verse about being strong in our weaknesses. Focusing on the gift that God is giving us. The gift of His grace. the gift that you are fully known. There's nothing you need to prove or to hide. Nothing to be ashamed of. And you are fully and completely loved. Not because of what you can achieve or how nice you are, but because of what Christ did on the cross. Showing us his love as he died for you and me. To set us free.